right. So,
There you go.
how important was Nick the Destroyer to indie wrestling in Florida?
Nick? Oh, bro, we wouldn't have Florida wrestling if it wasn't for Nick the Destroyer. I think everybody that has ever laced a pair of boots or wrestling shoes in this state needs, and this is just my opinion, my humble opinion. I think anybody that has ever stepped into a ring, and anyone here in this locker room would agree, has ever stepped into the ring here in Florida needs to pay homage to Nick the Destroyer. Actually, the thing that I had my fame for, the Irish Bloodbath, that was all Nick's idea. Nick and I were supposed to do the big feud, and it started off with a Tool and I, but then Nick, Nick doesn't get as much credit as he needs to for. He's an evil genius. I think people, if you make the comparison between Paul Heyman and Nick the Destroyer, it's not a fair comparison because the kind of stuff that Nick comes up with is just like it blows me away. Like the hair on my arm standing up. Nick is an evil genius when it comes to wrestling. He came up with the Irish Bloodbath. My feud with Bobby, everything he ever did. Whenever he showed up, and Martin Marvel and Luis Matos were just slacking around, Nick actually led the locker room, and a lot of guys. You can ask all the FXC guys, Cruz, Biff, Bobby, and guys from my personal circles, guys like Luis Matos, Kennedy Kendrick. Those guys know that Nick actually picked up the slack, and he led the locker room, man.
Tell us about the Calgary screw job and Nick the Destroyer.
The Calgary screw job
with Vince.
Brett and Sean were supposed to wrestle each other for the belt, and a lot of people don't know that not only has Nick dipped his hands in Florida wrestling, but Nick has had a hand in some of the biggest moments in sports entertainment, like the Hulk Hogan character. That was Nick's idea. Hulk was Terry Bollea. He had the big T on his chest, and Nick, talking to Nick, I was like 20 back then. Nick always thought the idea was ridiculous, and he came up with the yellow and red. And Nick, the hair on my arms is legitimately standing. You can see it right here, Snowman. Nick is a genius. He came up with the whole Simon Says character for me, wearing the green with the socks. He actually bought me those socks for my 15th birthday. I remember when I was still training. My first show was at the Omni. Nick was actually on the card that day. He was in the main event against Haystacks Calhoun, and they both got color in that match, and it was one of the bloodiest things I've ever seen.
How about the Owen Hart incident?
With the Enziguri on Shawn Michaels, or the fall. Oh, dude, Nick was distraught. Owen and Nick went way back. I think they knew each other as children. You hear the rumors that Nick shoved Owen. Nick was just up there wishing him good luck. I don't want to get into that because it's just a sad chapter in wrestling, man. Hold on. But going back to Nick's ideas, after Nick told Vince to go fuck himself, he went over to WCW, and Nick was responsible for some of the biggest men. He brought the Warrior in, the NWO. One of the ideas that wasn't as good as Terry Funk as the commissioner. That kind of flopped a little bit. But when Nick got brought back to the Fed, D-Generation X, Val Venus, the whole Attitude Era was Nick's idea. I for one.
When Nick came in as the Renegade, can you tell us about that?
Okay, so wow, you're going way back now. So Nick had a run in the Fed as the Patriot for a while, and those of you that don't know this, Matt Bourne was Doink the Clown until he tore his quad, in which Nick the Destroyer stepped. Nick was a lot of gimmicks back then, man. Nick was the Renegade, the Patriot, Doink the Clown. For those of you that don't know, Van Hammer, on a couple of live tapings, when who couldn't show up, Nick actually donned the Van Hammer tights and went out there, man. Mr. Perfect also in the Fed couldn't make it to a couple shows, so they put a blonde wig on Nick, and Nick actually did the part of Mr. Perfect, did the perfect plex, and he actually did it better than Kurt, man. I, for one, owe my career to Nick the Destroyer. I hope someday they open up an independent wrestling Hall of Fame, and Nick the Destroyer needs to have his own wing by himself, because some of the greatest managers in Florida wrestling, guys such as myself, George Martel, Cammy Kendrick, like Nick gave us all our pointers, man. People praise me for my promos, and here's a little bit of, I shouldn't be saying this because it kind of is detrimental to my career. Every promo I've ever cut word for word has been written by Nick the Destroyer. So Nick, if you're watching this, buddy, on behalf of me, I know I have a reputation for being a douchebag, but I love you, buddy. You're a genius, my friend, and this one's to you, Nick. If you were here right now, I miss you, buddy. Wish you hadn't died.